Welcome to The Hill's Coronavirus Report. I'm Steve Clemons, editor-at-large of The Hill. Each day we are interviewing consequential leaders in the battle against the coronavirus. By this summer, the Congressional Budget Office predicts that unemployment will be about 16% in the United States. With dismal projections like that, millions of Americans are worried about putting food on their tables. Right here in Washington, D.C., about 30% of the city's revenue is based on the service industry, including food service. Many of those workers have also filed for unemployment. With fewer operating restaurants, not only is there less money for lower-income people to buy the food and pay the rent they need to get by, but farm produce that was on the way to those restaurants is now being destroyed. Crops plowed over, milk poured out, piglets aborted. The farm-to-table cycle is under extreme stress and breaking down. One international chef has joined forces with a lot of congressional leaders to introduce a bipartisan bill designed to help restaurants feed the vulnerable. It's called the FEED Act, or FEMA Empowering Essential Deliveries. We need acronyms now and then for those kind of things, but the legislation would have the government foot 100% of the bill to help local restaurants prepare meals for people in need, all the while supporting farmers and local businesses too. He also has worked with Congressman Rosa DeLauro, whom I interviewed on this show just this last week, and House Ag Committee Chair Colin Peterson in creating an action plan to connect the farm produce glut to America's food programs for vulnerable communities. My guest is no stranger to finding solutions to food insecurity. The founder of the World Central Kitchen and a world-renowned culinary master, Chef José Andrés, joins me now. José, great to see you. Thank you so much for joining us. And I want to say one more thing to add to this, because there's been a lot of focus on what you're doing in Washington, what you're doing around the United States, but I want my audience to know that you have a global network. We were at the Carnegie Endowment for International Peace the other day. You were talking about what's going on in Latin America, what's going on all around the world. So I just want to remind people this is a global pandemic, and José Andrés is on the case. But José, tell us first about the FEED Act.
Well, I'm very excited about this FEED Act because I don't see myself on the business of influencing Congress with the right ideas that they may endorse. I only see myself as one guy, one boy with boots on the ground, making things happen. So we see that what we're doing at World Central Kitchen, where we have more than 1,000 restaurants in our network, 1,000 restaurants that the money we get donated by so many supporters to World Central Kitchen. In an emergency, usually we open our own kitchens in hurricanes when everything is destroyed, and we feed people immediately. Here is no destruction. The electricity is okay. The buildings are okay. The issue is that we have the entire system shut down. We have restaurants. We have amazing chefs, restaurant owners. They love to feed people. They love to feed people in the good times, and especially in the hard times. So we're partnering with them to feed people in need, one community at a time. What the FEED Act is, precisely to support this simple idea. Governor Newsom already partnered with FEMA to feed elderly people in the state of California. This is a reenactment of the Stafford Act, which precisely will empower states in partnership with FEMA to make sure that with NGOs, with restaurants, we can just put the restaurants to work and take care of the local problems in a very simple movement.
Right.
We take care of the hunger problem, at the same time we put America to work. All of a sudden, the small farmers can keep selling to the restaurants. All of a sudden, the cooks, the restaurants can go back to work and be part of the response to this humanitarian crisis. Before we know, we go back to normal, but in the process, we are already putting America to work.
Well, it's fascinating because, I did just speak with Congresswoman Rosa DeLauro about, what I saw as part one of this process, which was to look at the fact that farmers are destroying crops, destroying milk, aborting piglets, and she gave some sort of very, very visual commentary on how awful that was when we had so many people in need today. And so you worked with her to put together an action plan. And then the second part is you got Republican Senator Tim Scott Congressman Rodney Davis. Again, I don't want to single out Republicans because this is, but it seems easy for Rosa DeLauro and others to join in to work with José Andrés. It's somewhat striking that Tim Scott and Republicans are lining up behind this too. So how have you made that happen?
I don't think I made it happen. I think, quite frankly, we have great American senators and congressmen. I don't see so much if they're Republican or they are Democrats. You see great men and women that they want to serve their people, their states with smart ideas. So, quite frankly, I always say that the best moment is when you can break bread. And I think in this moment, food should be bipartisan and is bipartisan. I see many people in both sides of the aisle supporting this simple idea. Let's make sure through this humanitarian crisis, food is not going to be an issue. Let's take care of the health crisis. Let's take care of the economic crisis, but let's make sure that we don't have a humanitarian crisis. Make sure that we will not have civil unrest. And how we do that? With smart ideas. And it takes a 360 approach. This simple idea of putting restaurants to work to take care of local issues is one cornerstone of everything we have to be doing. Snacks, they should be released in more ways. They should be able to be used in restaurants for hot food. They should be able to buy produce online. They should be able to be used in supermarkets to buy fruits and vegetables. They should be used in farmers markets. We should making sure that when the federal government wants to try to help the people, the money doesn't go used directly into what I would say subsidies that sometimes is taking care of the problem. We should be making sure that we invest into the solution. We don't want subsidies to pay the farmer for food that is being wasted. We want investing into the system so farmers can sell to the federal government and in the process channel that food through food banks, through churches, through restaurants, through NGOs, through school systems. That's what I've been trying to do. And believe me, I do believe that this is the moment where we can bring Republicans and Democrats with their smart ideas together. America needs them to be working together, and food can be what brings all of them together.
In the many times I've heard you speak, Jose, about large agribusiness in the United States, the subsidies it gets, et cetera, versus the small farmer, the local small restaurants and others, do you think that there is a danger out there that the small players are going to be wiped out right now and that we need to take that very seriously? I'd just love to get, I've always heard you talk about the fact that we're pushing, the sort of highest quality food producers under the rug. And I want to know, how endangered are they right now during this time of coronavirus?
I think we need to realize that any small business in America is in danger. Obviously, the one I know a little bit and I care the most are the food people of America. And the food people are more than just the cooks and the waiters and the sommeliers in the restaurant. Restaurants very much are the end of an amazing magical system that starts with our farmers, our fishermen, our cow and lamb producers, our egg producers, those men and women that work the lands, that provide to us the goodness of the earth. And many of them, they are small businesses. People forget that the vast majority of people that work and own businesses are the small business of America. Together, we are a very powerful army. We empower and give work to so many people together. So yes, we need to be taking care of them. They don't want our pity, they want our respect. The way that Congress, the way the White House should be showing respect to those men and women is precisely putting good ideas supported by the federal government to make sure that those small farmers don't go under the water. And how you do this? Making sure that we recognize that food, it's a national security issue. Making sure that our farmers keep being productive. And if they don't have restaurants to sell right now, let's find new ways to make sure that that food is not wasted on the field, but gets to the places that people need that food. And already the system, we don't need to reinvent them. They've been created. We know how food goes from the farm all the way to the restaurant or to the house of people. Let's only keep investing to make sure that the distribution systems don't stop, and we make sure that every American in need will have a plate of food. In the process of solving the problem, you solve every other problem, because this is a 360-degree problem with a 360-degree solution.
In the coming weeks, we're going to be seeing a lot of the nation begin trying to get back to work, begin opening up. And there's going to be a struggle about what that means, what it looks like. We're going to have concerns about public health and safety, but there's also economic viability. And as you've said, so many people in the health, in the food business are the ones that are really desperate right now because their economic viability has been just, cut at the knees. Where are you in this? And have you thought at all about your network and what best practices are that you can inject into this debate?
I'm sorry. I totally freeze out. On this debate of, repeat for me.
Of reopening the economy versus public health, how can we do it the right way?
Listen, I'm a cook. And I know one thing. We've been fighting Corona at World Central Kitchen for many months now. We had the team on the ground in Yokohama in Japan.
Right.
We were feeding thousands of people during over a month.
Didn't you feed the people on that ship, the Princess ship that was the first major ship? They were screaming for help. No one would go on. And your people went on and fed those people on that ship.
We did 18,000 meals a day for over a month. We partnered with great people. Chef Nobuo Matsuhisa gave us help. Many people, the Princess cruise ship, obviously, we went there to help. Why us? Because we had experience with cholera before, Haiti, Mozambique. But the men and women at World Central Kitchen, we did a very good job. I was so proud of them. Then Auckland, where I joined my team, we did the same for Governor Newsom. That ship was handled much better than the one in Japan, I can tell you that. So we've been already thinking about this from a long time. That's why World Central Kitchen was able to deliver N95 masks and face shields to many hospitals around Virginia, Maryland, Washington, D.C., because we bought them to prepare our teams for what we saw a real crisis in the making. We didn't realize that we will be having a stock to be providing hospitals with N95. So what I'm trying to say with this is we've been thinking a lot about everything. So in my restaurants, I remember I was one of the first ones to close them, but they say I'm not closing, I'm closing the restaurant, but I'm reopening as a community kitchen. And very quickly we work in the HACCP, what is the right health protocol to protect the teams, to make sure that nobody will be sick, nobody will be spreading the virus, making sure that the food will be handled in the right way, creating the takeout system, creating the delivery system. And we began sharing all this knowledge with anybody that was interested. So if you ask me as a father, if you ask me as a husband, as a friend, as a leader that has to keep my employees healthy, it's very simple. When I closed my restaurant, I was able to be taking care of everybody, full salary, full benefits for over 5-6 weeks. Because my main role is I don't know what's coming, and we need to adapt. So the best way to be a leader is to stay home because I don't want you sick. And so I will say that I want to open my business. I cannot wait to go back to cook in my restaurant. I cannot wait to have my street and my restaurant full of people. But the reality is that we have this virus, that if we don't handle this health crisis, our nurses, our doctors will die in a number that is not necessary. They didn't join to the medical services to die. They joined the medical services to take care of people, and that's the reality. So we need to be somehow conservative in the approach to reopening, but making sure that everybody is healthy and that we have the systems in place. So number one thing, why we don't have contact tracing already in place? We have all the information we want in these iPhones. Should not be a reason that every person in America should have already an app by now that we can do contact tracing immediately. In this DNA, used to think like nobody has come up with a system where you know if you're sick, And then you know very quickly who is being next to you. And we can be informing. And we can stop this virus in few weeks, not in few months. In few weeks, to me, makes me very upset. Because if we did contact tracing, plus the quarantine we've been going through, is no reason why we cannot get ahead of this virus. Unfortunately, we've been behind of this virus. And sometimes, I'm not going to lie to you, we have smart people. But sometimes smart people is not enough. We need people of action. And I feel our leaders in general has not been people of action with the necessities we needed right now. The emergency of now is yesterday. And in that sense, I do believe we fell.
Jose, that's just very valuable, and I want to ask you just as we wrap up here. You're not just a chef; you're a great storyteller. I'm a storyteller. Anyone in this world right now is a storyteller. As you step back, who are the heroes you see out there that we ought to be paying attention to? Who are the villains that deserve to be known as villains?
I don't think for me it's the time now to talk about villains, but yes, I think of the heroes. But I will say that I'm very sad in certain ways because we saw what happened in 1918 and 1919. And you don't need to be an MBA expert. You don't need to have a doctorate on public health. Just read what happened in 18th and 19th, over a century ago. Where are the lessons learned? Bill Gates was telling us over 5 years ago that a pandemic will be coming. President Obama was telling us 5 years and 6 months ago about a pandemic coming probably in 5 years. Everybody's been talking about this. We know what happened over a century ago. With the jungle, Upton Sinclair, we knew what happened in our slaughterhouses. If you think about it, everything that is compounding now, because everything is exponential, because when you have a little problem, everything else becomes bigger, has been things that humanity has gone through it before in the past. So I will say that everybody is being a bad person, a bad leader in this sense, because where are the learningships of the past? And why do we go to university and why we know about history? We know not to claim and brag that we are smart. We should know history so we can learn from the past and make actions, smart decisions today. So with this, I'm going to say that the heroes are many. Obviously, my mom was a nurse. My dad was a nurse. They passed away 2 years ago. I had some family members that right now they're nurses, that they are working in the front lines. All those nurses and doctors around the world, without a doubt, they are our heroes. But we have to remember the woman working on the supermarket, cashier, taking care of families, taking their orders and their payments. That woman right now that sometimes we didn't even care to look at her in the eyes, she's a hero. The guy of UPS and the post office, she is a hero. Those farmers right now, many of them undocumented, working on the farms of America without protection, bringing food to every supermarket so you and I, we can be providing food to our children. Those are the heroes. Those dreamers that right now they may be by a Supreme Court order put away from our country, but they show up every day to a hospital to take care of people that Americans that are right now sick. Those are heroes. Right now we're learning that those men and women that sometimes they are voiceless, those men and women that sometimes seems they don't count in our society, those men and women we are learning that actually they are the essential people, the essential workers that keeps America running. And for that, empathy, hopefully, towards those men and women is what is going to be showing us the way. Everybody matters. We need everybody. And a solution for the few must be the solution for the many. We cannot reopen America without making sure that everybody is taken care of. Not only the ones that can stay behind in a big home, but everybody will be safe and everybody can enjoy this beautiful country of ours.
Well, with that, Jose, I want to thank you so much. I look forward to getting together with you in person. Hopefully at dinner at your house one of these days. We've talked about a long time, and when we're past this. But thank you for sharing your insights on these times. And I want to thank all of you for joining me today. We'll see you tomorrow. I'm Steve Clemons. Be well.